Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you all are enjoying some sunshine. Anyways, we are super excited to have you all with us. I'm your host, Piyusha, and as a part of our Build Your Career in Salesforce series, today we have organized a masterclass. As you all know, our beloved process flow and process builder and workflow rules are going away in mid 2023, and Salesforce is pushing forward with the all new mighty flows. So to help you, Hannah, with an easy migration to flows, today we have an amazing guest with us who is a very popular face in the Salesforce ecosystem, and you all know her very well. So she's been with us before in one of our sessions as well last year. So our today's speaker is a 16x Salesforce certified solution architect, Salesforce MVP, and Paris WIT group leader. So today we have Doria Hamilrick with us. Hello and welcome, Doria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to run a session with you.
Well, thank you. How's the European heat wave treating you?
Good.
I hope you're enjoying some sunshine.
Yes. Currently it's raining, but we had like 40 degrees for the past days, so I'm really happy that it's raining now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's raining here as well. So, yeah, same weather.
Sometimes.
Okay, before we get started, I will share a few quick tips for the smooth functioning of the session. The session will be recorded, so you can revisit the session on our YouTube channel. And if you're facing any issues like difficulty loading the session, click on the event link and refresh the page. So in today's masterclass, we will be talking about why automation, some hows and whys of automation, how you can start learning flows, and how to smoothly migrate to flows as well. Over to you, Doria.
Okay. Well, it has been the subject of the moment for a couple of weeks, let's say, or maybe months now. So I will, well, help help you, I hope, to feel better with this migration that we all have to do. Just a quick introduction. Well, so I'm a Salesforce architect. I'm working in the Salesforce ecosystem for a long time now, and I'm running my own company. Uh, and I had the chance to pass a lot of certification and to acquire, let's say, a large amount of knowledge. That's the great thing with Salesforce. You can always learn something new. And I have also many activities in the community, like I'm Salesforce MVP. I'm running groups, previous in Casablanca, now in Paris, the Women in Tech group. And we organize also events like in Casablanca, North Africa Dreaming, and French Touch Dreaming. So if you want to join us during one of these events, we'll be more than happy to have you there. And if you need some information, feel free to reach out after the session. So let's start with the automation globally. When we speak about the automation, first we need to define what is an automation. We all know the price of Salesforce licenses, and I think it's a fact that if we say that we take Salesforce only to gather all the information about account, opportunity, contacts, we could do that only with an Excel sheet that will work also fine. The power of Salesforce is really focused on the automation and all what you can set up in the org to help you in your daily work. So the big difference between what I've seen so far between Salesforce and other CRM system is the ability to configure whatever you want. It's related to objects, to fields, to security, but also to automation. So the admins in Salesforce have a big power, let's say. They can build many automated processes with only point and clicks. And if you go a step further for very complex automation, you can also do that with Apex, so the native language of the platform. The automation is there to save your time for redundant tasks. You don't want to do each time when a record is saved, you don't want to do a lot of tasks behind the scene. So you can have four main automation to help you. Of course, there are a lot of other automation too, but for this session, we will only focus on this one. So we have the workflows, the process builder, the Salesforce flows, and the Apex triggers. Um, when you see the four tools, you can ask yourself, well, what is the difference between all those tools? And this is what we will cover during this session. We will compare them, have also use cases for all of them, check out the performances because they are not the same, and also the planning for the retirement of some of them, like the workflows and the process builders. And of course, we will focus on how do I migrate from the functionality that I have to retire from my org to the new functionality, so the SSO flow, and to the Apex triggers or batches if needed. Some history. The when history, and also about the difference between all of them. We start with the Salesforce flows, process builder, and workflows. In fact, I will go back to this slide. The Salesforce flows are really old. They were released in 2012. I know that many people think that the Salesforce flow came after the process builder, but it's not the fact. We had two versions of the flows, one running in a really old old system, and then there was a rebuild of the whole Salesforce feature to go to what we know today. Here at the screen, you have a comparison between what we had before running on Adobe Flash and what you know today. The process builder came in 2015, so it's been now 7 years present in the platform. And for the workflows, I always know the workflow on the platform. I'm not sure when this was released, but it has to be released long ago, previous to the process builders. And of course, Apex was the native language, so you always had Apex on the platform. There is a big difference between all these tools. First, you have the point and click tools, so the declarative tools, the workflow, process builders, and the flows. And then you have Apex, which is a programmatic tool. When you look at, for example, the workflow, it is the simplest to implement. And if you go to flow, well, it becomes complex, and with Apex, it's even more complex. On the other side, simple means also limited. The workflows are really limited in terms of capacity that they can bring to the automation. And on the opposite side, when you look at the flows, it's really extended, near to what you could achieve with the triggers. Also in term of comparison, because I think it's always a good point also, even as a mean, to have in mind that you don't have the same performance when you between the tools, and it's really important to know them because they will have a big impact. For example, if you are running a new org, so you migrate from an old CRM to Salesforce, and you have to do the init, so the load of the data, all the automation that will be already set up in place will have an impact on the time you will need to load all the data in your org. Um, to explain you this slide, as I said, the Salesforce platform is running in the Apex language. So this is the basic language Salesforce knows. And when you set up the automation tool, it will it will be needed for them to be translated into Apex. For the workflow, it will be directly translated into Apex. Same for the flows, but for example, for the process builder, you will first have a translation. Let's say, if I can say a translation, from process builder to flows, and then from flow to Apex. And this has a big impact because, for example, let's say you have this use case. You want that when an opportunity is closed as one, you want to change the type of the account to client. So it's changed from prospect to client. This is a very simple use case to implement with workflow, but you could also perform this with process builder or even with flow. Let's take the basic way of doing it. When I say basic, I mean the nearest from the platform language, so Apex. If it takes 1 unit of time to accomplish this kind of operation, for the workflows, it will take the double of time, so 2 units of time. And for the process builder, you will reach 3.5 units of time. So imagine when you have millions of records having to pass through the process builder, it will take a lot of more time than if you had it to the triggers. So no, we are not all developers. We are not able, or not all of them of us, sorry, are able to write Apex trigger, and that's why we also have the flows. And the good point with the flow is that it's only 1.2 unit of time to for them to accomplish the same operation that we could have with a trigger. So even if it's not as performant as a trigger, let's say it's a good approach to have the best performance with point and clicks approach. The previously spoiler, this slide is not no more up to date, not because it was not updated by myself, but because the orientation changed in the meantime. Previously, what Salesforce said was that you always had to start with the workflow. Then, if it was not possible to accomplish what you wanted, then you had to go to the process builder. And if it was not possible, then go to the flow. Now it's completely changed. Salesforce say go straight to the Salesforce Flow because we are retiring all this workflow and process builder. Previously, the work it's still the same, but the orientation was if you had to perform an email alert, field updates, outbound messages or tasks, you had to go to the workflow. Then, if it was not possible because you had a more complex logic, or you needed to perform other tasks, you use the process builder. And if it was not possible with the process builder, you go to the Salesforce Flow tools. And of course, if it's not possible to go to achieve what you want with the Salesforce Flow, then you can go with the Apex. That's not a problem. But currently, we are running this session because we need to migrate the workflow and the process builder to the Salesforce Flows or even Apex, and this is what we will see. Today, I will also have a kind of demo, at least to demystify the fact that it's very difficult to migrate from workflow to Salesforce Flow. Regarding the timeline, first we had the first announcement saying that we will stop with the workflow and the process builder during FORCE 21, so in September of last year. And there were a lot of communication about it, community group set up, a session with a lot of people to brainstorm about the best way to migrate. And in April 2022, the first tool from Salesforce was released to help you migrate your workflow to the flows. There was also another pain point for people already using the flow, um, related to the order of execution. You had to build, let's say, a parent flow to help you to manage all the orders of your subflows, and this was a bit tricky. So they also released the Flow Trigger Explorer, helping you to reorder the execution of all your flows. This was already done. In the meanwhile, we had also we had a lot of new features coming with the flows. I think only for the two last releases we had like maybe 30 new releases related to Lightning Flow. So they are really focusing on this tool. And as far as I remember, when they launched the Lightning Flow, so the second version of the Lightning Flow, they always say that this was the future. This is also why they took the same orientation. They stop with workflow, stop with process builder, and go only with flows. Now, what will happen in the near future? In October, we will also have a tool to migrate the process builder to the flows. So we have the two tools available to help you migrate. And by the end of the year, but it's not sure. It's only the first announcement. They say that around the end of the year, we should we should have the end of the process builder and the workflow. But saying that it's the end of those kind of process don't mean that they will stop working. No, it will still be active in your org. The only thing is that you will not be able to create new ones anymore in the future. So in 2023, if you want to have a new automation, you will have to go for Apex trigger or for flows. No process builder and no workflow anymore. One One additional point related to these tools. These tools are really helpful if you need to learn maybe how to migrate. This is, and I will say something. This is my personal opinion. These tools are great because we also need to support organization, companies having to migrate from a large amount of workflows, process builder to the flows. But I think that it will be more helpful to have to learn to build it from scratch, because in the anyway in the future you will have to build it from on your own, uh, starting from nothing. So it's better to learn from now how to migrate them, even if you use, for example, this tool, just to have a quick look at what should it be look like, what should be the structure. It's always, I think it's a good way for starting, but it's not the right approach to have if you want to really to have this knowledge and to master the flow. And it's not really difficult to migrate. So first we need to migrate the workflow. It's not very difficult to migrate workflow to flow because a workflow is really simple. There is one condition, then you have one action or more action behind the scene, and that's it. So and if you look at the structure of your workflow, well, it will be exactly the same for your flow. And this is what we are going to see together now. I will change from screen. Okay, do you still see my screen? Yes. All right. This is a scratch org. There is nothing on it. There is on there is only one field change, I think. It's a developer org that I just set up for this meeting. And we will take a look at what we have related to the workflow. So in the workflow rules, we have here one deactivate workflow rule. And this is the same example that I gave just before, related to the opportunity. When the so if you don't really know the way of workflow rules are working, you say that you give the criteria, the entry criteria, and here you see that the opportunity has to, maybe I will enlarge my screen better like this. So here you have the criteria saying that the opportunity has to be one to enter the automation, and once you enter the automation, you say which action should come with this kind of automation. And here, when the opportunity is one, we see an email alert and also a field update related to the account type going back to client. And the email alert is a simple notification. I will open them. Here we go. So here you have the email alert. It's sent to the account owner. So there are some companies or orgs having different people managing the account and managing the opportunity. So let's say that I am the sales rep running the opportunity, and then there is someone from Afizen running the management of the account. I want to inform them that they closed won an opportunity for their account. This is what we want to achieve with the email alert. And for the field update, it's pretty simple. The field update is a simple update of the field. On the account, you have a field called type. It's a pick list, and when I perform this workflow, I will change this pick list value to client. Okay, so really simple to understand. One field update, one email trigger, and that's it. All right, so just to show you what it is really doing, let's have a quick demo. So here I have the opportunity. Okay, let's say we will take this one. So as you can see, I'm the opportunity owner, and if I look at the account, here you see that Piyosha is the owner of the account. Okay. Now, let's say, so I will go back to what I had before. Here, the account is under prospect. I have to be sure that my rule is well activated. So yes, it is. And if I close it now to 1, okay, on the account side, it should be updated to client. So you see it. And the sales manager. So I set up a quick Yopmail account. I'll show you that here. Go. You see, we receive also the email alert with the related information to the account and the opportunity amount, and also the opportunity owner. Simple. Oh, okay. Doing that, we will deactivate the workflow rule because we want to have the migration to the flows. Okay, so you enter the flows here. Could be that you have flows in your org, sample flow first clean it up. It's, for example, it's here, it's a debug, but if you had the samples in your flow, just clean it up before you start the migration. And we will start with a new flow. Okay. We have a bunch of kind of flow available. The screen flow, the name say what it is. It is something visual. This is something you will display to the user. You have also other kind of flow. The recall trigger flow. This will be fired when something happened to the record. It's the same kind of logic that you have with the workflow or with the process builders. Workflow and process builder, there is something happening to the record, create, update, and then you perform some action. You have also other kind of flow, like the schedule trigger flow. This is something to be scheduled. For example, each day I want to check the opportunity having a close date older than 3 months that are still not closed, and I want to close them automatically and set the status to close one with the last reason to inactive opportunity or outdated opportunity. This is something that you should perform with the schedule trigger flow. Uh, Basically, when you have something that needs to happen on a specific time, and then this time is switching over the days. So, for example, the close, when you say the close date, having the close date older than 3 months. Uh, 3 months depends on the today date. So when every time there is something depending on the today date, and you have to calculate another milestone based on the on today, you will have to go to the scheduled trigger flow. The other two ones, the platform event, I think it's a bit too advanced for this session, but let's say it will trigger when the platform event is created. And for the auto launch flow, you can build some pieces of logic that you can reuse in other parts of your flow. It is a way to materialize or to reuse your logic, so that you don't have to rebuild everything in because you have the same logic in different flows. You build it once and then you call it as a subflow. So here I want the recall trigger flow. I will create it. Okay, and then I need to first thing to say what is the object that will fire the automation. I want to do something when something happen on the opportunity. So you will choose the opportunity object, and then you have to say when should it happen. If you already set a process builder, it's exactly the same. You can have the create, the update, you can have both, but in flow you can also have an action performed on the delete. I don't know. For example, an opportunity is deleted. Maybe the manager needs to be updated or notified that someone deleted an opportunity. In this case, I can have it on the create or update. Let's say I want to manage both cases. We never know if someone has a client on the phone and it gives directly an agreement to close the opportunity. So the opportunity is also created as close one. Well, let's tackle these two these two situations: the created and the updated. You have the I don't know if I'm still sharing because I think there seems to be connection issue.
You're
Okay.
in the stream, Doria. Yes.
No, okay. So if I'm back, that's good. Okay. It's a kind of funnel. You have first the triggering event, then the condition to enter the process, and then the action. So you have the condition here. You can say that no, there is no condition. Always run the following action. But in our case, we need to have the opportunity one to perform it. So here I will say that there is a condition and or doesn't matter when you have only one, let's say one condition. It doesn't change anything. If you have both, then you will have to check if both needs to be true to perform the action, or at least one of them. So we need to look at the fact that the opportunity is one, yes or no. You can use the is one field, as you can see in the field. Because I started here with the opportunity, I can choose all the fields from the opportunity, and I will take this one, the is one, and the field, or it's a kind of formula, the is one needs to be true for me to perform the actions. And the true is also available. As you can see, you already have the choices shown on your screen, the true and the false, but you can also type it. Then this is for the condition, and then same as the process builder, you can say that it has to be performed each time it meet the condition, or when the record is updated. So the difference between both is that each time, in this case, each time the opportunity will be saved as one, then I will perform the action. So example, I'm in the prospection phase, the prospection stage, sorry, and I change the status to close one. This is one change, it will be fired. Then I go back to the opportunity, and it's already in the stage one. Then if I change something to the opportunity, it will once again trigger the flow. So it depends on what you want to do. In our case, I don't want to send an email each time this opportunity is updated. I only want to send the email one time when it was something in the stages in the life cycle, and went to the new one status. So this is the good one to take. And because I want to update something other, I want to update another object than the triggering object. I don't want to update the opportunity. I want to update the account related to the opportunity. I need to have this option checked. Okay. Here we go. So this section is the same that we had with, let me go back to the workflow. Is there somewhere? No. Okay. Workflow rules. What you see here in the flow is exactly the same that you have here in your workflow rule. Okay, this is something happening on the opportunity. I have my criteria saying that it's one. The same here. It's also it has to be one to be triggered. Then I say that here we it's yeah, it should not be this case, but the evaluation criteria, you also find it back here into this section. And then related to this option, it's a feature related to flow exclusively. So you see it's pretty the same. Now, this is for the first time of the first part of your workflow, and then you have to perform the actions. And to perform the action, it's really simple to do. You have the email alert and the field update. Well, let's start with the field update. I will here add an action. So you see it's a kind of let's say line that you have to follow, and you can also have path with decision in your line. I will first add an update element. You see all the action you can perform in your screen. The main are here: the create, update, get record, and delete record. This is related to the record. And then you have also other kind of action, like the actions. Actions are out of the box action that you can use, or subflows. Also, the subflow, like I said, you can build a piece of flow and then call it from another flow. And there is also a shortcut to the send email alert, because I think it's really used in the flow, and they put it as the shortcut. Now we can have here the update record, because we want to update the account. So we give a name to your element. So it's on really the action here, the label and API. It's the same that you will have here on the action here, the name and the API. But let's take the exactly the same. Here is my label. Here is my API. Please avoid also best practice. Please avoid the underscore. It takes place in your all for nothing, and put also a description. It's always good to have the description of each element. Okay. Now I have to say which account. You only know the information about the opportunity at this stage. You don't know nothing else. So here we will have the account update, because this is what we want to update. And then you will say which account I want to update. This is also the good thing with Flow. You can update many records at the same time, only giving the right filter in your account record. Here I want to have the account having the same ID than the ID that is in the opportunity. So in my opportunity, I have an account. On the other side, I have the list of accounts. Well, I need to match them with each other. So I will say that my account ID should be the same than the record that I started with. And I will look here at the account ID. These are the fields from the opportunity. Okay. Now I know which account I need to update. I will go to the field. So what I want to update, and in our case, we have a field type, and I will choose one of the value. These are the default value. This is one value I added. You can choose from the pick list, because the type is a pick list. As you can see, I didn't do nothing. I just have the proposition of all the available values in my list automatically. So here it is. And here you have the same that you have in your action, the update action here. Okay. This is what I did in my workflow, and this is what I did in my flow. Exactly the same. Okay. So now we are good with the first action, and we need to add another action for the email alert. Here you have the send the email alert. Oh, sorry. The shortcut are the elements you used previously in when you are building your flow. Here you have the send email alert. and you will have to say which kind of email alert. You will only get the active email alerts that you can access. Here is my email alert that was already used in my workflow. Nothing new. I will give a name to my element. Notification owner, because this is what the email alert is about. And then I need to say on which object is it based. So I have an email alert that will be based on the opportunity object, because in my email alert I will have the amount of the opportunity, and then I will go back to the parent, to the account, and then I will get the information from the account. But basically, the main object related to this email alert is the opportunity. And in my flow, because we have a flow triggered on a record, and the record is the opportunity that is firing this automation, you will have here the record. So this is the firing record, so the firing object, and you will need to give the ID of this object here. You can click on it, but you can also have it. You can click elsewhere. It will automatically match what you typed and the name of the available fields. And this is that's it. You only have to, when you have an email alert, you only have to know which is the base object or base record for your email alerts, to be able to merge all the fields. And that's it. So my workflow rule and my two elements in my workflow. I will save it, give a name for your automation. So I want to notify up owner. You can say notify up owner when the opportunity is won, but we also have another kind of automation. So we could have update the account type to client when an op is won. The best way to do that is not to have this kind of label. On my side, when I set up recall trigger flow, I'll always start with the account, the object opportunity, and then what it what is the type of automation I have. This was an upsert, because I want to have it when it's created or inserted. So this is the upsert, and it's related to other kind of elements. You remember in the first screen we had to choose, is it a quick update or related to other records. When it's only related to the firing record, we say it's before, and when it's related to other record, then we say it's after. So we have the opportunity after upset. You can have spaces if you want. You can have anything, but like all the API names, you need to skip all the spaces, and also have a description. No, so when op is one, notify the account owner, and then change account type to client. This is what we achieved. Please put the description specifically on your flow, because it's really frustrating when you have to go through all the elements of your flow to be able to understand what it is actually doing. At least put a description on it, and then save it. Okay, this is the flow, and it's not yet activated. For the activation, same process that we have in the process builder. You have the possibility to have different version. Only one version is active, and once it's activated, you cannot change it anymore. You have to build another version. So first, before running it, let's take a view to the test. Sorry. The debug. This is the way of testing your flow before it's run. Here, let's say we want to update an opportunity. I will choose one opportunity for my test. Here you have all the fields available in your layouts. Whether if you use dynamic layout, it will not be shown here. Here you have the stage somewhere here. Let's say it's set up to close one. This is what we wanted to do. You run it, and there you have the interview, how it started, and what we needed, what was done in the flow. Here we see that it was one. Yes, that's okay. And but because we only want a record that is updated when something was changed in the stage. Well, it was not fired. So I will go back here and change once again the stage, and then I will run it again. So this time I have one flow having the stage here, a decision maker. I will go for close one, run, and here the flow. Oh, sorry, I have one mistake in my flow. Here in the decision, here it is. Oh, here, go to true. Yep. Just to be quicker with the test, I will do that. Okay, save it. Go debug. Created or updated, no matter. Let's say we can also have the same test like if it was created. You can also skip the start condition. So because you want to test it as it should work. So let's start with it. Okay. And then you will have all you see here in yellow where it passed through the flow. And here you see what was updated. For example, here the account ID is the right account. The type should be updated to client. It's not done for the moment because you are in test. And then here, related to the notification, only says that you will be based on the record ID. This is my opportunity, and that's it. The rollback is because it's a flow. It will roll back all the modification, and that's it. You have it, and then you activate your flow, and you're done with the migration of your workflow. So we are a bit running out of time. I will, and we will do exactly the same that you had in your workflow. Just a few things to end this session. For me, the advantage of having you mastering the flow is first that you will also understand what is behind the automation. Not only point and click, you will really know what you are doing step by step because you master all the lowest detail of your automation. This will also help you to get a kind of developer mindset, because a developer goes always step by step, and this is the same thing you will do when you are building the flow, like I showed you. There are also what we call the governor limits that you especially when you're at the beginning of building the flow. For example, it's not possible to loop for records and have updates in this loop. You will hit some governor limits to that. You will also have other kind of limits. This is something that you will learn over time. There are too many to be able to list them, but at least you will be able to understand what is a governor limit and how to fix it, and also to understand how a developer is developing, because a developer always needs to be aware of this kind of governor limit. Otherwise, the platform will not run the right way. And of course, because you have, as you've seen, you have here a simple migration, but you can have very complex automation related to record change, or also screen develop to help your customer. There are more and more the functionality with the screen flow. So in place of going to your developer and asking for a Lightning Web Component, you can also build a simple flow. This is another way to do that. So I would say that it's a good way to become a developer if you want to. And on the other side, well, if you are not planning to go a bit further in development, it's also a good way to improve yourself as an admin, because you will also improve your capacity of building things for the business. This is how I coach people to start with flow. Trailhead is and will always be the basic thing to do when you want to learn something. So go back to the Trailhead. There is a big module around the flow called the Automate Your Business Process, Build Salesforce Flow. Theory, practical exercises. That's a good thing. Then try to migrate workflow. Don't try to migrate first the process builder, because it's a bit tricky. Sorry, if you don't have a process workflow in your org and only process builder, well, you'll be, at least take a developer org and try to make some example of this on this org, just to be able to understand how it works. Try to reproduce the use case we had today, for example. And specifically, if it becomes a bit more complex, draw your flow on a sheet of paper. Before building it, at least you have in mind all the steps that you have to go through. And don't be discouraged, because I know sometimes it seems to be really tricky to start with flow. You have the feeling that no, flow is for developer. I don't have this kind of mindset. It's too difficult. I don't understand anything. But I swear I train a lot of people around flows. I also give training related to flows, and these people are not at all developers. They don't have any background related to technical skills, nothing. And now they are mastering the flow pretty well. They don't want to go back to work for a process builder, even if they had the opportunity to. So you are not, let's say, you are not less than these people. Everybody could learn something if you put the right effort. So just start somewhere, and start with this kind of exercise we had today. That's the simplest thing to do, I think, and it will be a good start for you. Now you have to migrate all the flow. This is my advice on how to tackle this challenge. First, clean up your org. It could be that you already have inactive process builder of workflow that are there for months, for years. Clean it up. At least you will have a clear overview about what you are talking about and what you need to migrate. Then in the all the automation that remains in the workflow and the process builder, analyze what you are doing. Maybe you have workflow and process builder that are tied to the same object or are doing kind of same process. You need to know what you want to achieve. I'm not speaking about the technical perspective, but the business perspective. What do I do with my automation? And when you know what you are doing with your automation, you will be able to group all the automation object per object. Okay. Once you have grouped all the automation needed object per object, it's also a good moment to review some of them, because sometimes you had old automation that don't need to be in place anymore. So cleaning also, group it by object, and then you will know the roadmap. You some Maybe some processes can wait, other cannot wait. Knowing that, as I said, it's not that at the end of the year it will stop running. No, it's only that you will not be able to have new automation built with process builder or workflows. So prioritize all the processes to create your roadmap, and also work on governance, because specifically with flow, it's a bit like in development, you need governance. Define API name standards. How do you call your flows? How do you call your elements in the flow? For example, you could add prefix, suffix to your element to help you define some standards. Can be anything, but at least define them, specifically if you have many people working on the same org. Then then you're ready for the migration. You are migrating, document what you are doing. um, it I see now a lot of people struggling with the migration, because there is no documentation, and they have to go step by step. So workflow per workflow, process builder, open it, checking what is doing, and make a kind of retroengineering of the documentation to understand what it's doing. It's not a good, not a good thing at all. And then the flow best practices, at least for my company, we always avoid to have flows on large data volume objects. If we have an org having, I don't know, millions of accounts, we don't put flows on the triggering by the account objects. We leave it for minimal volume of data. Could be that you have triggers that you need to put in place, because it's too complex, or it's not possible to do that with flows. If you start with triggers, then you stop with flows. Otherwise, when you have a bug related to your update or your creation, you will have to check first in the trigger, then in the flows. It's a bad idea to have a mix in technologies for the same object. And then limit the number of flows per, let's say, per action. For example, one for the before insert, or the before upsert, one for the after upsert. You see, it's better to limit to the flows. Otherwise, you will have a tons of flow after 6 months. And as we said, be consistent in the API names. It's related to the governance, and think reuse. If you know that you will have the same process in different type of flows, then build one subflow and call it from all your flow. It will be easier to manage over time, and will give you a clearer overview about all pieces of logic. And know the limits. Know the limits. I've seen many projects with flow having tons of elements in the flow. sometimes 150 elements in one flow. I imagine what it means for the customer or for the team to manage this. No, 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 don't do that. If you have, there is no specific number, but in my opinion, if you have, let's say, more than 20, 30 elements in your flow, then you should go for a trigger or for a component if it's a screen flow. It's a better option. Otherwise, it's not possible to manage your flow anymore. And that was it. So I don't know if there are questions in the chat.
Perfect. That was a really amazing session, Doria. And something which I really like about Flow is, how the screen is a visual representation of all the steps which will be happening in the flow, which was not available in Workflow and Process Builder. So for this reason specifically, I really like working with flows because now what processes are happening and how this is going to impact your org eventually.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. This is also the greatest part of the flow, the visual part.
Yeah,
It's
it
not.
almost looks like email journey in Email Studio. And
Yeah,
it's really amazing like how clearly it explains what is happening in your org through this flow. So
indeed. Yeah, and you're right. It's the same kind of design between marketing cloud journeys and the flows. They took the same. Yeah.
absolutely. And also I think you have explained so many things to migrate the flows and workflow rules, sorry, process builders and workflow rules into flow. But something which I feel every admin, whoever is in charge of the transition, should be careful about is, if you have a smaller org and you have limited automations in your org, then you can probably do a one-in-one migration like you showed in the example. But I guess if your org has a lot of automations using workflow rules and process builders, then you probably need to think about, are all of these necessary and which ones to implement in the newer version using flows, or just map it out and see like which one will be more effective. What do you think about this?
Yeah, indeed. The sometimes the roadmap is more important than the technical part, and you need to know your priority and how to manage the migration. So yes, and you need to review because sometimes you have an org running for 10 years with many process builder, when the workflow, uh, there is a part of the org not used anymore, but the workflow, the process builder are still there. So do you need to migrate them? No, you don't need that. So it's a good moment to have a review. And as I said, I think that you really need to be able to build new things now, because this is the number one priority. Otherwise, after this year, you will not be able to have new, let's say, new automation anymore. And after that, you'll need to, once you know how to create it, it will be much more easier to migrate.
Absolutely, yes. Well, thank you so much, Doria. This was really an insightful masterclass, and I'm sure our audiences have learned a great deal about Salesforce automation, and now they'll be able to plan their migration to flows easily, hopefully. Um, So that's it for today. Thank you so much for taking out time on a Friday and sharing your expertise with us, Doria. We're very grateful to have you today, and it was truly a wonderful experience.
You're welcome.
For
You're welcome.
everyone else, sorry.
And do not hesitate to reach out if you need some support with the migration, question about the flow, best practices. We are used to do that for years now. I think it's okay, 7 years I'm building flow. So reach out. No problem.
Doria is a champ. All
And you
right.
too.
Sorry. Sorry, please go on. Sorry.
No, I said, and you will too.
Hopefully. Okay. Okay, we have many more sessions planned next week, so you can just follow us to know more about the upcoming events. And please follow Doria on her LinkedIn and Twitter to know more about all the interesting information she shares. We look forward to seeing you all in our next LinkedIn Live in August. Till then, stay tuned and have an exciting weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.